everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to take a look at the new WWE Defining Moments Hulk Hogan figure from Mattel. Now this figure comes packaged in a window box type packaging. You've got the Hulk Hogan name up at the top, and it's done as like a little plaque, and you've got the double H's on each side for Hulk Hogan. Then you've got the figure clearly displayed in the window box packaging, and then down below you have the Defining Moments logo, which is made to look like a WWE Championship belt. Then on the side of the packaging, we have the WWE logo up at the top, a classic image of Hulk Hogan in a pose with his bandana, no shirt on, and then an image down below of some classic wrestlers. Then on the back of the packaging, again you have window box so you can see the figure from behind, and it's kind of made to look like Hulk Hogan's torn shirt. And then down below you have a bio for Hogan talking about his big match with Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. On the side you have the WWE logos and this little hologram sticker that I guess is for official WWE licensed merchandising. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. And I think Mattel has done a pretty good job of capturing the overall likeness of Hulk Hogan. Now this is supposed to depict Hogan in his prime, you know, around the time of WrestleMania 3 back in the 80s. So it's not old man Hogan like we see today. I think the face sculpt is really nice. I think they've again captured the overall look of Hogan. Now I gotta say, I don't really collect wrestling figures. I used to watch wrestling. I haven't in the last couple of years, but I was never really ever into collecting the figures. But I saw this figure the other day on the shelves at Target, and so I decided to pick it up. Kind of stood out to me, and I figured I'd review it. So I don't have a lot to compare it by as far as other wrestling figures. I just, again, don't collect a lot of wrestling figures, but definitely I thought this figure looked pretty good as far as the likeness of Hogan and stuff. I can't say if it's the best Hogan figure out there, but I think Mattel did a good job. Skin tones are pretty good for the most part. Now, I will say that, Hogan was a guy that I always recall being really, really tan. Seemed to spend a lot of times in the tanning booths. So, might not be quite accurate for Hogan. It could have been maybe a little bit darker skin tones for actual Hogan. But still, for the most part, I think it looks good. I think the skin tones look good. He's got the mustache and the Hogan grin. And the muscular sculpting on the figure is pretty good. Not a lot of wash work. It's just basically yellows for the shirt, the shorts, and the boots. You've got the white laces, and you've got the red knee pads, and then the white wristbands, which are basically just painted on. The knee pads are separate pieces, and you can kind of slide them off on the knees if you wanted to. They're not removable or anything, but they are separate pieces from the figure. He comes with a number of accessories. He's got his WWE, or I guess WWF heavyweight wrestling championship belt. I don't recall what the belt looked like during the time of WrestleMania 3, so I don't know how accurate it is to that actual belt. I'm gonna guess because it looks like it's just got a W on the top. I seem to recall that the old belts did have actually WWF on it, but they're probably not allowed to have WWF, even though this is a time period piece. Because of copyrights and stuff, they're probably still not allowed to actually have WWF on anything. But I like the vac metallized plating on the belt. You've got the little globe and the wrestling heavyweight wrestling championship, and then I like even on the side there's pretty nice detailing on the belt. You've got like American flags and maybe some other flags, and again the W for the WWE or WWF, and the same on the other side. And the belt is removable. It just kind of clips on, and it's got a number of holes for different sizes. Now I will say, when the figure doesn't have his shirt on, the shirt's kind of a rubberized, it's kind of a thick material, so the belt does kind of fit loosely on the figure, and I'll show you when we take the shirt off here in a moment. But even with the extra hole pieces, the belt fits kind of loosely on the figure without the shirt on. So the shirt itself is obviously it's split down the middle because it's meant to, you know, for Hogan to kind of rip it open like, you know, you would classically see him do. And so, you know, you can kind of get him to grab it and act like he's ripping his shirt open. Now I will say that it would have been maybe nice if they'd given him double jointed elbows so that he could get some more bending at the elbows and get some better poses for ripping the shirt off, since that was kind of such a classic signature move for Hogan. This is about as good as you can get with as much as you can bend the elbows. So I would have liked maybe seen some more movement in that area, so you could do a little bit more with this shirt. And I also want to note, when you first open the figure, the shirt, you know, that seam in the shirt isn't that noticeable, but as you start kind of like taking the shirt off and putting it back on and stuff, it gets harder and harder to like keep the shirt together, even with the belt on. You know, the belt kind of holds the shirt together, but even with that, you know, as it kind of loosens up a little bit, it's kind of hard to hide that tear down the middle or the split down the middle. So it ends up looking more like a jacket than a shirt that he's wearing. He's got the Hulkamania written on the front of the shirt, and then he's got the rips on the back like you would traditionally see. And again, the shirt is just rubber, you know, material, so you can take it off easily. And then, you know, again, no nipples. Well, really no nipples sculpted on here, but overall, you know, the muscle tone and everything is pretty nice on the figure. So he's also got his necklace with cross on it, which is done in kind of a dingy gold color. Not a whole lot of detail on this, but it's not bad looking or anything. I would have liked to have seen it maybe be a little bit shinier gold, but it looks pretty good for the most part. And then he's also got his bandana with the Hulkamania on it, and it's the same yellow as the shorts and the shirt and everything. And it's removable. It's again the same kind of rubbery material as the shirt and everything. And it's got these little slits on the side of his hair that the bandana fits in. Now I will say that the face sculpt is good without the bandana or with it. You've got, you know, Hogan's big forehead like you would see. He's got the receding hairline, which is nice. They did a good job with that for the most part. Though he's kind of got this weird line work on the back here, so it almost looks like he's kind of wearing a toupee on the top. But without the bandana, you can see the holes where it fits in, and so it looks a little funny. It's not terrible or anything, but just something you kind of notice when you don't have the bandana on. And then you can take the chain off if you want. The heads on these figures don't seem to pop off, or at least not easily, but there's enough give in the chain that you can just kind of slide it up around his head. Again, there's enough give so you can get it up over his hair. And then, like I said, the hair, you know, the long hair on the back is, you know, the top is painted on, but then the back of the hair is rubber material that's sculpted, so there's some give and everything. I guess that's why you have this line, this weird looking line, because it's the difference between the painted on hair and then the hair that's basically glued on the back. Okay, so this figure stands at almost 7 inches exactly. And here he is next to one of Mattel's Brock Lesnar figures, and they're about the same height. And I seem to recall these two are about the same height. So scale seems to be pretty good for the most part on this figure. Articulation isn't too bad on the figure either. It's pretty good for the most part. Head's on a ball joint, so he can look left and right with no problem, and he has some up and down movement. Not a whole lot, but some. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joints, so he can get his arms all the way out, and he's got good rotation there. He's got the bicep swivel. As I mentioned before, he has single hinged elbows, so he can bend his elbow about that much. Again, I would have liked to maybe seen some double hinge elbows here, but you know, it's not too bad. You just can't get him in some, you know, very good shirt, you know, tearing poses because he doesn't bend his arm enough. He's got the swivel on the hinges at the wrist, so good movement there. both hands are kind of sculpted in like a almost, you know, open to hold something, or like hold his shirt or his belt or something. I would have liked maybe to have seen, you know, alternate hands or something, so he could do like, you know, where he holds his hand up to his ears, you know, in the ring to get the, you know, crowd going and stuff. Since that was kind of a signature Hogan move, that would have been, you know, maybe nice, some alternate kinds of hands. He's got an ab crunch, so he can bend down about that much, and he can look up about that much. He's got the swivel at the waist, ball joints at the legs, so he can do the splits about that much. He can get his leg forward about that much for leg drops. He can't really do his leg back at all. He's got the bicep swivel. He does have double jointed knees, so he can bend his knees about that much, and the knee joints are basically covered by the knee pads. And then he does have a swivel at the boot cuff, and then he's got hinges at the feet. Doesn't have really a whole lot of up and down movement even with those hinges, but he does have that no swivel or pivot or anything, unfortunately. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, this is a pretty good figure. I think they've captured the likeness of Hogan in his prime. You can get some pretty good wrestling moves out of it, and the accessories are pretty cool for the most part. Now, one thing I want to note is this figure seems to be more expensive than the other Mattel WWE figures on shelves. This one was like $25 at Target, and the other figures on shelves were like in the $20 price range. So I'm not really sure why the markup in price. You know, because it's a little more expensive, I would have liked to have maybe seen, you know, like I said, double jointed elbows or extra pairs of hands, or, you know, maybe even something like an American flag like you would often see Hogan carrying. The bola thing that he wears around his neck, I know, came later on, so because of this supposed to be Hogan in his prime, I can understand them not having things like that, but still, you know, maybe a few more additional accessories or articulation would have been nice because of the price markup. But again, overall, I think this is a pretty nice looking figure, and that they've done a good job with capturing the look of Hogan. So definitely, if you're a fan of Hulk Hogan, or, you know, a big WWE collector, then I think you'll probably want to add this one to your collection. It is on shelves now, and as I said, it cost at Target, it was like $25. So that's my review. I hope you like it. As always, if you're so inclined, please like the video, leave a comment, let us know what you think, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.